My name is Dr. Troy Doucet. I'm one of the teaching pastors here at Suncoast, and we are very thankful that you've joined us today, whether you're live in person or watching online. Hope that today's message is inspiring to you and transformative for your life. Welcome to Summer at the Movies. 5 weeks. We're taking 5 blockbuster films and discovering these timeless truths within the stories that we love. Because great movies do more than just entertain us. They reveal something about who we are, what we long for, and the kind of life that we're meant to live. So each week, we're going to take a memorable film. Today is City of Angels. I don't know how many of you guys have watched it. It is streaming live, free online now. It is a great oldie but goodie. And in that movie, Nicolas Cage plays this angel named Seth. And Seth's job as a heavenly angel is to sort of watch over humanity, to walk alongside humans in moments of fear, of loneliness, and even death. Now, here's the catch. Angels can observe humanity, but they can never fully participate in the experience of being human. They can't feel physical touch. They'll never have my gumbo in all of its greatness. They'll never experience pain, and they'll never truly participate in the love or even the heartbreak of human existence. But that changes when Nicolas Cage's character, the angel Seth, meets Meg Ryan's character. Her name is Maggie. Maggie is a brilliant heart surgeon. And for the first time, Seth sees her compassion and her love and her energy for life, and something about her draws him to her. He no longer just wants to watch and be a spectator. He wants to be a participator in all of life's wonder. So ultimately, he chooses a decision. He makes a decision. God gives him a choice. You could stay an infinite angel, or you can become a finite human, but you will have to fall from heaven. And Seth ultimately chooses to become human, willingly giving up certainty, eternal safety and security, and a chance to share real life with Maggie. So he falls. But shortly after becoming human and feeling all of the experiences and emotions of being human, he and Maggie fall in love, and she is almost instantly killed in a tragic car accident. She dies. And now Seth is forced to face something that he's never had to as an angel: grief, loss, and the painful cost that all of us in here know as love. And the clip we're about to watch, you'll see Seth is dealing with this grief, and his buddy, who's also an angel, comes to check on him. And Seth is not very happy about Maggie's death. But this moment in this clip captures a very profound question for us. If love ultimately can lead to heartbreak, is it still worth it? Is it still worth it? Let's watch this clip and see.
Carries on and on.
I can't see you, but I know you're there.
I'm sorry.
Get out.
Seth.
Was it you? Were you the one? Were you there?
No,
Why did he do this?
I don't know.
Because her number was up?
What do you want me to say?
Am I being punished?
You know better than that. That's life. You're living now. And one day, you'll be dying. What's it like?
What?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
If you'd known this was going to happen, would you have done it?
I would rather have had One breath of her hair. One kiss of her mouth. One touch of her hand. And an eternity without it. One.
One minute, Seth is walking on the beach holding hands with Maggie as a new human. And the next minute, he's discovering what every sad country song and Nicholas Sparks' novel warns us about. Love hurts. And that's the tension of the film, and that's the tension of today's teaching. Seth had safety as an angel. No pain, no loss, no heartbreak. But he also had no touch, no taste, no risk, no embrace. And yet he chooses the risk. Why? Because here's something about love. Real love always will risk something. And that's where Jesus takes his disciples in John chapter 15. This is precisely the conversation he has with them. He gives us one of the clearest definitions of love in all of the scripture, moments before he is arrested and then executed. He knows death is coming. He knows pain is coming. And yet Jesus doesn't protect himself. He actually draws closer. Because what he's teaching us from this passage about love that we will learn today is love is not a sentiment, it is a sacrifice. Love is not a performance, it is presence. Look at John 15. Here's what it says in the Gospel of John. Jesus is speaking. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. And look at this line. No greater love has anyone than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. And you are my friends when you do what I command you. I don't call you servants anymore because the servant does not know what the master is doing. But I've called you friends because I've made known to you everything that I've heard from my Father. You did not choose me, but I chose you. And listen to this. I appointed you to bear fruit, fruit that will last, so that the Father will give you whatever you ask in my name. I'm giving you these commands so that you may love one another. If you're taking notes today, here's point number 1 if you want to write it down. Love chooses presence over protection. The tragedy of Seth is not that he became human. The real tragedy would have been if he would have stayed just eternally untouched by warmth, embrace, love. See, as an angel, he could only spectate but not participate in the human existence. What does that mean? He could watch a sunrise but never feel the warmth of the sun itself. He could stand beside Maggie but never hold her hand. And he could witness love with his own eyes but never risk it himself. And eventually Seth realizes something that's true for all of us and from Jesus' teaching to his disciples. A protected life will keep you free from pain, but it also will insulate you from intimacy. Because love always asks us to step out from our protective barriers that we place so that we don't get hurt. Maybe again, maybe for the first time. You see, to love someone is to risk heartbreak. To become a parent, if you are a parent in here, you know it is a constant state of worry. I feel many times in my life, right or wrong, that I can only be as happy as my saddest child in that moment. To trust another person is to risk them betraying you. And to care deeply about another person is to risk the possibility of grief. But that's the deal, that's the contract. That's why some people can never fully experience love, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to negotiate terms of love that are not in the contract of love itself. Can I feel deeply connected and never wounded? No. Can I give my heart away with a guarantee that it doesn't come back to me broken? No. Can I avoid loss and still experience intimacy? No. And this is the thing many of us do. We hide behind protective barriers. We don't really say the things we feel or want to say to people we love because we fear it will not be reciprocated back in the same way we give it. Reminds me of my buddy back home, old Boudreaux. Old Boudreaux, man, he went out to dinner with his wife, Marie. And they're sitting there having a few drinks. Marie's having a few wines, and they eat their meal. And next thing you know, Boudreaux hears his wife, Marie, go, "Oh, my God, I love you so much. I don't know what I would do without you in my life." And Boudreaux goes, "Baby, is that you or the wine talking?" And she goes, "That's me talking to the wine, actually." So in this movie, what I love is that the angels are untouched by pain, but they're also untouched by touch itself. And if I'm being honest, they're probably in a room this size, many of you in here I would call emotional angels. You float above life. You analyze everything too deeply, and it ultimately leads to you feeling shallowly. And you keep yourself and your heart safe. You don't want to commit too deeply. You don't want to trust too quickly. You don't want to say what you actually feel. And so what we'll do is, to make everybody kind of back off, we begin to curate our lives on social media, right? Everything's fine and dandy. Look at this. Look at me on the beach with my family or whatever. But deep down, you're distancing yourself from finding love or experiencing love, and you call it wisdom. I just call it making yourself unavailable. And it's fear with just good branding. But the gospel of Christ is absolutely the antithesis of that way of living. God never remained distant to humanity. He never remained detached or untouchable or unreachable or unknowable. The Bible says that God became flesh. Now, I believe that with my whole being, because there is something about Christianity that is radically different from so many other religious frameworks. In Christianity, God does not move away from humanity because of our tendency to rebel or to have heartbreak. He actually moves down and into it, into skin, into tears, into hunger, into relationships, into rejection, into grief, into death itself. We theologians, we have this fancy $5 word for that. We call it the kenosis. It's the emptying of God. Not an emptying of divinity, but an emptying to give away himself to us because of love. Because divinity reveals to us this, that God is always self-giving in love, and we are made in that image. You see, Jesus doesn't avoid suffering because he lacks power. He could have avoided it if he wanted to. He enters into suffering because true love is never absent from those who are suffering. And this is where John 15, where Jesus' conversation with his disciples is so powerful. He speaks these words, "No greater love than this, than to lay down your life for your friends," knowing that there's going to be a knock at that door soon to take him away, to punish him, to execute him. But yet, what does he do? He stays fully present, fully engaged, fully attuned to his friends. He keeps washing their feet, even the feet of Judas. He keeps breaking bread, even with Peter, who will betray him in a few hours and deny him. And he keeps calling them friends, because love is not proven by how safely we stay above life. Love is proven by how willingly we enter fully into it. You see, here's the thing. That's the invitation for us today. You see, yes, love can break your heart, but isolation will harden it. Here's point number 2, if you're taking notes. Love gives us strength to lose what we cannot keep. Going back, I remember there was a moment when I went through my divorce, and it was a very dark time for me. And I was afraid, right, of being present, fully present, giving my heart away again. And I remember thinking, well, this is probably it for me. I don't know too many ladies lining up for a 40-year-old philosophy professor with 3 kids living in a 1-bedroom apartment on a sketchy side of Dallas, Texas. They weren't lining up knocking at my door. I felt damaged. I felt disqualified. Maybe love was for other people. And if I'm being honest, I wasn't afraid of another broken relationship. I was afraid of another broken heart. But you can't experience the fullness of life while demanding guarantees against pain. So I remember I was single for almost a year, and then one cold November night, I agreed to go on a date with this girl who actually matched with me. I walked in not thinking anything, no expectations. I didn't put any pressure on myself. I didn't go, well, I hope this goes somewhere, because I'd been on many other dates and it never went anywhere. And I was just kind of going, it's not going to work out. I'll just be single forever. I was just open to this moment of possibility, and then she walked in, 30 minutes late, which apparently was not an isolated incident. It was sort of a prophetic preview of my life even now with this lady. Is she here? Good. No, she's still popping popcorn. Good. But I remember when she walked in, she looked like an angel. And I went, wow. We talked for a couple of hours. We laughed. We connected. And this was the most important thing for me. She saw past my pain. She saw beyond my so-called baggage. She saw further than my failure or my fear. And from that night on, we were inseparable. And 2 years later, she was no longer my best friend. She became my wife. Because the safest life rarely leads to the fullest life. You see, Seth loses immortality. Think about that. For what? What did he say in the clip? One kiss, one touch, one smell, one moment of real connection. I would rather have one breath of her hair than an eternity without it. Why does that line hit us so deeply? Because a life spent protecting yourself from loss is not the same thing as living life. And that's what the gospel echoes more than we realize. That's the rhythm of Jesus. Jesus never came to earth to self-preserve. He came to self-give. And he tells us something about that giving in that conversation. He says, I love you. Now go love everybody like I've loved you. And there's no greater love than this. And you will bear fruit because of this love. The love that you show is going to bear fruit. Now think about it. Fruit is never for the tree. Jesus never overcomplicates or becomes obsessed with defining what kind of fruit we bear, because fruit only matters when it nourishes something other than itself. An apple tree does not eat its own apples. An orange tree does not sustain itself with oranges from itself. Fruit is born for others. So when you talk about fruits of the Spirit, love, patience, peace, kindness, those are not trophies for you to display your spirituality. Those are nourishments for you to give away to others. And here's the tension that many of us deal with, because again, we're in a very particular kind of culture. Many Christians want to bear fruit, produce fruit, but they want to keep it. Dig what I'm saying? The fruit you bear, whether it's love, patience, peace, kindness, finances, time, those are things true love says, I give this away. Fruit only becomes fruit when it leaves the branch. It's got to be given away. It's got to be shared. Because here's a truth I've seen as a pastor for over 25 years is this: what we cling to, we often lose. But what we surrender to others in love will often multiply. Parents, you know this. You lose sleep for your children. Some of us lose convenience for our marriage. You lose comfort in certain friendships. But yet somehow in losing or giving away these things, my life becomes fuller than it was. Love is the willingness to surrender and sacrifice something so someone else can experience a full life as well. So here's my question. What are you willing to release and let go of so someone else can flourish? For Seth, what was it? He was an angel. Eternity, security, infinity. For you today, let me step on some toes. For you, the thing you might have to let go of so your life can flourish, it may be your pride so your marriage can finally heal. It may be your need to be right so that a friendship can survive. It may be your comfort so that your children can learn how to thrive and grow on their own. It may be your time that you give away so someone doesn't have to suffer in pain by themselves. It may be your resentment toward a loved one that you got to let go of, not so that they become free, but that you are finally freed. The thing we cling to most tightly are often the things that keep us from experiencing the life and love we truly desire. You see, the point is what again? Love gives me strength to lose what I cannot or should not keep so that I will gain everything that truly matters in my life. And here's point number 3. Here's the final point today. Oh, I love this one. The value of love is not determined by its duration, but by its depth. You see, we as humans, we have this tendency to evaluate things based upon how long they last or how long they go for. That if something doesn't last as long as I believe it should, then it wasn't worth it. It didn't matter. And that's why Seth's story as the angel seems so tragic to us. He becomes a human. He's feeling all of these human emotions of love and excitement in a new relationship. And then bam, Maggie's killed. And we're like, wow, that escalated quickly. What a waste. But Seth never says that. Why? Because when you experience true, life-changing love, it changes everything about your life, including how you measure value. We often measure value by duration. I think God measures it by depth. Some things don't just become meaningless because they're temporary. Let me give you some temporary things. Your favorite song is temporary. Only lasts 4 or 5 minutes. A sunset is temporary. I love seeing all the little babies that are being born. My son just graduated high school 2 nights ago. And I looked at him and went, how did that happen? Your children's childhood, temporary. It does not make it trivial. Now let me get a little further. Some of you have been married 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. There's a lot of duration there. But how's the depth? Because you can share a house for 30, 40 years, but do you share a heart? Ouch. And yet some of you have only been married 2, 3, 4 years. And I see this passionate love you have for one another. And a lot of times what happens is when children do enter into it, it changes the depth of that love because now you got to sacrifice together for something. And that's what I believe. Love deepens whenever self-giving increases. Whether you have children or not, you want your love to grow, give, 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 give. And don't expect anything back. I know that goes against everything in your human nature, but if you want the life Jesus promised you, that's how you have to live. I give with no need for reciprocation. And I know some of you have lost people that you loved through sickness, disease, accidents. And our temptation is to think, well, they're gone now. What's the point? But here's the thing about grief, even as we experience grief for those we loved and lost, grief proves that love matters. Grief is the proof that love was there. I'll never forget, my son moved in with me a couple of months ago. He moved in December. And I remember picking him up at the airport, and we went grab a bite to eat. I'm sitting across from my boy, and I asked him a question he wasn't expecting. I said, hey, Asher, I said, how was the goodbye with your mom and your stepdad? And he got real emotional. He was like, because deep down, I knew it hurt him. Even though he wanted to be here, I knew deep down he was like, man, it still sucked. And I said, hey, but before you answer, let me tell you something. It's okay to feel 2 emotions at one time. You can feel sad that you left everything you knew in Texas, because that's where he was born and raised. You can feel sad, but you can also feel happy that you're finally coming to where you always wanted to be. And he got really emotional. And he said, Daddy, it was hard. It was hard. I said, did you cry? He goes, I said, did your mom cry? And I looked and I went, good. And he gives me this look of, what do you mean good? I went, that means you love each other. The grief doesn't mean there's no love. It means that love is absolutely apparent. Not every relationship is meant to last forever in the same form. But does that take away or erase the beauty, the growth, or the meaning it carried while it existed? I'm a divorced man, but I loved my ex-wife. There was something there that was beautiful while it lasted, and I love my wife now. And I know some of you that you feel I'm disqualified from ministry. You got to take that up with God and Larry Bacham. But some of you in here, maybe he left, and you felt grief. I could never love again. Yes, you can. Maybe she walked out. Maybe you lost someone. I can never care that deeply again about someone. You can. Think of Jesus. Jesus' ministry, he only preached for 3 years. That's it. I've preached 10 times that amount. Dr. Bacham 100 times that amount. Well, not quite that many, but brief, temporary, but Jesus' power was not found in the length of his life. The power of Jesus, it was found in the depth of his love. Because love is not measured by how long it goes. True love is measured by how much it gives. How deeply are you showing up for the people you love now? How much are you giving of yourself away with no need for reciprocation? Because here's the truth. We're not responsible for people giving back love to us, reciprocating, responding to it. We're responsible for our intention and our initiation of love. Love is not measured by how long it goes, but how much it gives. Let me pray for you, Suncoast. God, I pray for my friends, my family, my community. God, thank you today for refusing to love us from a distance. Thank you for stepping into humanity, to our joy, our grief, into our uncertainty, and showing us that true love remains present. God, teach us to stop hiding behind fear, self-protection, and isolation. God, give us the courage today to love deeply, to forgive freely, and to cherish the people we have right in front of us. God, let us enter fully into the moments that you've given. God, may we leave here more open, more compassionate, more willing to reflect the kind of love that you give to us. It's in the strong name of Christ I pray, amen. If you want to stand with me, Suncoast, I want to close with a short story. Many of you know my grandfather. I've told this story of him before. He died of Alzheimer's disease. I have a heart for that, to serve and connect. And so with Larry having the ALF next door, it's really dear to my heart. But when I was in Dallas, I would go serve kind of as a part-time chaplain at a memory care unit where people were suffering with dementia and Alzheimer's. And I remember going in there probably two or three times a month, just serving, helping. There was this older gentleman who would go in on occasion. His name was Joe. Joe was fully cognizant, but yet his wife was not. She was suffering with dementia. And as a pastor, you have a heart for this, right? You walk over, and I remember walking up to Joe and seeing like his wife not remember his name. I would see the moments when she didn't even recognize his face. Some days she would just stare out the window blankly while he was lovingly holding her hand. So one day I had the courage to ask him. I said, man, Joe, does she recognize you anytime? Are there any moments? He paused. He went, no. I said, man, that's got to be really hard. Like, you come here almost every day and see her, don't you? He goes, that's right. But then as a young pastor, he told me something I'll never forget. He goes, well, here's the thing, Pastor. He goes, she may not know who I am, but I know who she is. And I swore to that woman that I would love her till the day I died. I don't come here because she remembers me. I come here because I remember her. I don't come because it's easy or because I get love in return. Listen to what he said. I'll never forget this. He said, love should never be measured by what you receive from it. It should be measured by what you refuse to hold back from it. And maybe that's where Jesus brings us to today. Because in the end, as I said, we're not accountable for other people's response or reciprocation of our love we give. We're responsible for our intention, our initiation of that love. So let me tell you this today, Sunkos. Love first. Be the first one to love. Don't wait for perfect timing. Make the phone call. Send the text you've been wanting to send to that loved one. I send my wife little smoochy emoji text all the time, thinking, oh, she probably thinks this is corny. I ask her, baby, she's like, keep sending them, baby. Sit down and have the conversation you've rehearsed in your head for a week now. Go see your parents or FaceTime them, even if that hour is just spent talking about the weather. Because let me give you a little secret. The miracle in that is your presence. You are the miracle. And no greater love has anyone than this, than to show up fully, vulnerably, without any guarantee of getting that love back. So don't just protect your life, give it away. One moment, one conversation, one act of love at a time. I'm here to remind you today that God loves you. Now go live into that truth with all of your being. Have a great Sunday, Suncoast.